Welcome back, guys, for another episode of the third Shield Pokemon Go PvP podcast. Guys, in this episode, I have the one and only OhOkhaha, not Oklahoma. I hope I said it right. But yes, the one and only Casey is joining us. She's an amazing battler, and her story is amazing. And her voice and her interactions and everything is just super entertaining. So, guys, I'm super excited to introduce you to Casey. Let's get started. All right, thank you so much, Casey, for coming on our podcast. I'm super excited to have you because Linden and so many others have told me just such an amazing things about you, so I cannot wait to actually drill you a little bit with questions.
Thanks for having me. I'm so honored to be here.
Yeah, and Casey, so what I wanted to clear out is that how someone like you actually gets into Pokemon Go, because I have met so many people and they have so many amazing stories, so I cannot wait to actually hear yours.
Well, I actually didn't get the app until 2 years into it being created. I was way late bloomer, to be honest. So I started in 2018, September 2018. It was actually on my birthday because I was with my family and they were talking about the game, and I was like, oh man, when it first came out, I had a phone that it didn't have enough storage for me to download it. So I was just chauffeur for the people that played in 2016, which was fine and it was fun, but obviously I had FOMO, and I was a little bit low-key jealous that everyone else was playing and I couldn't. But then I was like, oh man, I loved Pokemon as a child, so I was really excited to download it and just give it a try, even though I didn't really know that many people playing it. And then I ended up finding my local community through Discord, and I started meeting up for raids and everything, and it just took off from there. My obsession with the game just took off from there. And then as far as PvP, that's definitely, the credit goes to my wife for that. She definitely got me into PvP. I dabbled with it before because I started playing right around the time that it came out into the game, just a few months before it came out. And so I would randomly just battle people, even though I had literally no clue what I was doing. My Altaria didn't have Dragon Breath. I'm pretty sure I had a Rock Smash Azu, lots of really embarrassing things. So I've evolved since then, thank goodness. But she definitely was one person that always took battles anytime I was like, hey, does anyone want to fight? She's like, I'm right here. So she helped me a lot with start dipping my toe in the water, kind of. And she convinced me to go to my first in-person tournament, which was a really, really, really cool experience. So from there, it's just I've just loved the game ever since then.
And you don't have to be embarrassed, by the way, that know the Dragon Breath or anything like that, because Ryan's Fag makes fun of me all the time that I actually focus blasted Mewtwo all the time. So, which doesn't work.
It does not work.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend that tactic. Oh my gosh, that's
exactly. So we all been there, so that's nothing to be embarrassed about. But so when you get involved with PvP, and you said when you were growing up, you really loved Pokemon Go, right? I mean, the Pokemon itself, right?
Yeah, I always watched the TV show as a kid, and then I definitely collected the cards. I still have a huge book full of hundreds and hundreds of cards. I'll randomly flex on them because I've got my holographics and everything. So I was really big into it, but I was really kind of mostly just Gen 1 I knew. And after that, I knew a few from Gen 2, but then I kind of I just grew up and I kind of gave up Pokemon for a little bit. But it was so nostalgic when I started playing again. I was so excited to see all those Pokemon that I used to love in the TV show and everything, and it was really fun to kind of relive some of the memories by catching Pokemon and stuff, because I played on the Game Boy too. That was always a really fun game to play, and just catching Pokemon, and I don't know, it's just there's something about it. There's so I just love it, and I know I'm not alone on that. A lot of people do too, and it's hard to explain why, but It's just super
No, that
fun.
I'm totally with you, and that's what I wanted to ask you. Is that isn't it feel like that actually what you watch in the cartoon is you actually living that now? Because you,
Yeah, it does.
yeah,
Yes, like random people pop up out of nowhere and like, you want to fight? And I'm like, yeah, obviously. Or like, yeah, you'll just like be walking through, you know, a park or something, and like you open up your app and there's just like Pokemon popping out of the bushes. It's a good time. Not in real life, but definitely in the game.
yeah, it's.
I
I
wish in
mean, to
real life.
me, yeah, to me when I saw it, I was like, wow, this is crazy that it's actually becoming reality if you think about it. But
Yeah.
that reminds me. So which one are you? The are you the collector or are you the hardcore PvP or you're the mix of the two?
I would definitely say I'm more of a hardcore PvP. Like some of the people that I play with make fun of me. They're like, Casey's like the most hardcore PvPer for someone that doesn't play the game. Because I just, you know, my life is really busy. It's hard for me to keep up with like the game sometimes because it's very demanding. It's very time demanding, you know. So, but I do like, you know, like today I participated in the Rocket Stop event for like an hour and a half out of the 3 hours, but I did some of it. Um, and I don't know, I enjoy all the aspects of it, but PvP is definitely my true love. Like if I'm going to dedicate my time to any part of the game, it's definitely going to be PvP. I feel like that's the end game of this, of Pokemon Go anyway, you know, is to like use the Pokemon that you've caught and like built up and like learn how to use them to fight each other. Like I feel like that's the whole purpose. So that's definitely definitely my favorite part, my favorite aspect of the game by a long shot. But
Yeah, that
I enjoy all of it, you know.
yeah, and well, I really hope that just like you said, it's the end part of the game, the PvP, and I'm really hoping that Niantic and everything just keep pushing it, pushing it, pushing it, so it
Yeah.
becomes even bigger. But it's growing
Hmm.
really fast, so I'm super excited about the PvP. And right now, are you gonna participate? Well, I saw that with the last year, well, I mean, the season is basically over. There's one more,
Hmm.
right? One more match or round, and
Catacomb,
that's
yeah.
it.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then, are you participating in the next season and prepping for it already, or no?
I probably will. I can't imagine, like, you know how everyone's got this like love-hate relationship with like PvP, like yes, the game is broken sometimes. Yes, it's super frustrating sometimes, like when you just like can't win a lead to save your life or whatever, you know, like there's definitely like that part you, but everyone loves to hate it. Like at the end of the day, most people, I mean, people need their breaks and they need to like cool down sometimes from the game, but most people like they end up, they're not able to put it down, even like, you know, some people, there's plenty of people that have like said, I, you know, I'm giving up the game for a while, I'm taking a long break, you know, and then like a week or two later, guess who's back? So I don't know, I'm the type that like I'm competitive, but I don't really like, it doesn't bother me as much if I'm good at losing. Like I like to think that I'm like decent at winning sometimes too, but like if I lose, it generally speaking doesn't like control the rest of my day. I'm fine. Like I'll survive. Every once in a while there's a match that like it just matters a little bit more than the other ones, you know, or like there's like a, you know, I could have won the tournament if I won that match, and like if I lose those, yeah, I'm bummed for a little bit, but for the most part, I'll get over it. And so like probably my patience with the game helps me enjoy it a lot more. If I had to
Yeah,
say.
I did see some people, you know, rage quitting and throwing their phones across the room and all
Yes.
this craziness. So I totally get you. But that's, I'm glad to hear that because, you know, those people that I'm talking about is, I see it all the time too. They mentioning it on Twitter and saying that, all right, I quit. And then
Yeah.
just like you said, a week or two later, they are back. So, but, you know, this little break that we had with the, I guess when the
Yeah.
game was
People
broken
need
was
it
good.
sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah. I get
But
that.
exactly. And I hope they realize that they actually needed that. So now they might just schedule a break, you know,
Right.
for
Yeah.
themselves.
I do think it would be an interesting idea if Silph took like a few more months off in between seasons. But I mean, you know, I think they're still doing a good job of like, you know, creating the metas. You know, I mean, obviously people love and hate certain ones, but you know, I think that they've done a really good job of helping the PvP community grow, but it, like in a huge way. And I don't think anyone can really dispute that. Um, I enjoy Silph. I'm terrible at building teams, but I think that that's kind of where like some of the more I think that's where you can test skill a little bit more, to be honest. I know that's a little bit controversial to some people, but like GBL is a good test of skill too. I think that it definitely takes skill to get to the top of the leaderboard for GBL, but I think like if you're on the top of a Silph leaderboard, I kind of think those are where like a lot of the masters really are, to be honest.
Yeah, because like you said, the meta changes every single month, and
It's
you
hard to keep
also,
up with.
and it's open, like open. What do you call it? Like when the poker, and you just see everything open. What's the opponent has. So it literally comes down to skills, and then so that reminds me. So which one do you prefer, the Silph or Go Battle League?
I like both, to be honest. I think Silph is nice because I've just always kind of liked Silph a little bit more. Maybe it's because that's what I started off with, so I'm a little more like familiar with it, I guess. I love GBL for the rewards, definitely. And I kind of just enjoyed GBL anyway because like it's just such a savage like place to fight. Like people just like, dude, Shadow Gardevoir is like, I hate it. I want to like physically harm every Shadow Gardevoir, but it is fun to hate a Shadow Gardevoir. Like she's the butt of me and my outwife's jokes. So I don't know, but I think I do prefer Silph probably overall. Maybe part of it is like you get that like interaction, especially when it was in-person tournaments. It was always super nice to I loved the in-person tournaments. I think like nothing was better than like having someone kind of maybe underestimate me and then I kick their booty and I get to look at their face after they get wrecked. It's a good feeling. So I do miss that. I mean, and like I said, if they beat me, I'm fine with that too. It's still a good time regardless. But Silph, maybe maybe one day I'll take a break or something. I didn't do the last 2 months, to be honest, because it's just been such a hectic time for me right now. But I always go back to it, and I really enjoy looking into the metas. And I like that they make you like use Pokemon that you never would have used really in other scenarios. Like you're not gonna bring Sudowoodo to a friggin' GBL fight. That would be actually so insane. And if you do, props to you if you're doing well with it. But like, obviously like in this meta right now, Catacomb, like Sudowoodo is like god tier. And I think that's so cool that they can do that with their metas, somehow make it so that you use, and it makes you play the game more too, because then you have to like try and find those Pokemon, trade for them, whatever. You have something to use your TMs on. I don't know. It keeps things interesting, I think.
No, I agree with you, and I would really actually like if Go Battle League would do something similar, just like they did the Premier Cup. If they would do the same, I think it would blow up even more, because here's the thing, when we go back to Ultra, Great, and everything, it's just going to be the same meta, and with some spice, of course, but most people are just going to use very similar that they are used to and safe with, So it's really cool. But what I was going to also ask you is, because you already mentioned it, two things actually. One is just because you are a female battlers and you mentioned that they underestimate you. So is that happen all the time, or do they treat you differently just because of that?
Not all the time, no, definitely not. But I think like I probably give off a vibe that like how good can I actually be, and I get that because I look in the mirror sometimes and I'm like, honestly, Casey, tighten up. But I think some guys, if they don't know who I am, they don't understand that I dedicate a lot of time to PvP. So they, like, then when I pull like the sensei switch on them and I like catch a move, it's like, what? Especially like, I don't know how to count moves or anything like that, but I think one of the things that I'm decent at is like the intuition switches, where I'm like, they're gonna throw the move right now, and then I switch, catch that move. And I like catching people off guard with that, because they're like, how the frick did she know what she's doing? That's really wild. But I definitely lose a lot too, so I'm not trying to say that like I'm like this insane good person, but it's really fun to catch people off guard when I do perform well.
But that's a really good point you mentioned, by the way, because lots of people, Linden, for example, for that matter, he's all about mathematics, since he's basically a CPA, right? So for him, counting is, it's given. And in your case, you have a feeling for it, so you basically know that it's coming.
Right. You know what's funny about Linden? I'm going to just say this because I'm so proud of this. He was at the third tournament I ever went to in my whole life. And it was so funny. We were talking so much trash about him before. Like he didn't know, like he didn't hear us. But in our local group, me and Coach Mom, we were like, get Rekt number 92, honestly, because he was like, I think number 92 in the world or something. Like, so we were like, dude, honestly, you're gonna come to our local tournament, you're gonna get totally annihilated, get spanked, honestly. And then he showed up to our tournament with his girlfriend, and they were actually like probably the nicest humans on the whole entire planet. Kind of embarrassing that we were talking so much trash about them. I mean, just like, you know, get Rekt trash. But so then he did our tournament, and only Bread beat him, Premise Poppy. But like everyone was like, dude, I got totally destroyed by Linden. And I'm like, I gotta do this. So it was my third tournament. Like, I don't know. I had just started Silph. It was my first cup still, because I started a Nightmare. And I go up to him, I'm like, hi Linden, I'm Casey. Do you want to fight? And we showed our 6, and we fought, and I friggin' beat him. Like it was like some magical scrub moment. It was so beautiful. And so clearly I'm a better battler than him. He knows. Just kidding, I'm not. But I do like having that to hold over his head for the rest of forever.
No, that's good. We should probably cut this out and replay this over and over. Yeah.
That's all you needed from me, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that. When I finally beat him once, then I'm gonna record that and reuse it over and over and over.
Yes, screenshot it and post it everywhere, and I'll retweet it. Like, I'll make sure everyone sees. It's the biggest accomplishment you can have, to be honest.
I agree. Yeah, he's amazing. So, and next question is what I wanted to ask you. Actually, is because you really enjoy and like the actual in-person Silph, which I do too. So actually the whole goal was of the podcast is then basically in between the podcast episodes, we would actually record the in-person Silph matches, but with like 2 cameras. So one on you, one on me, and then basically so you see the interactions as we battle.
Yeah.
So that's the plan. But of course, because of COVID, that's on pause, but we're gonna do that eventually. But my question is that, do you think that Pokemon Go, do you want to, and do you think it will get into esports eventually?
I would love for it to, obviously. Yeah, I think it'd be super cool, because I feel like some of the best battlers are also some of the best people. Like, I just love a lot of them. And it'd be cool to be able to see them shine a little bit, you know? And like, I think it would be fantastic. I don't know, I would love to play it as an esport where there's like just more, just, I don't know, I think it'd be a great opportunity for us, and it would be just, anytime that the community can grow a little bit, and like we can, that's the whole goal. Like, esport would be the dream. Do I think it will get there? That is so tough to say. My hopes, I'm an optimistic person, so I always kind of try to believe, you know, in what may or may not be possible. But I think I think there's a lot of people that will fight for it to become an esport. And I think, you know, sometimes just people wanting it enough can get it there, you know? And I think Niantic's got a lot of work to do if that is the case, but I think it's possible. Is it probable? I don't know, but I think it's definitely possible.
Yeah, I'm with you there, and I'm hoping it will get there, and that's why I ask every single guest that we have about esports, because I'm hoping that eventually Niantic will pick on it too, and more people also talk about it, more people see it, and it will become like, you know, trending or whatever. People talk about it more. And you know, what I want to ask you too, because obviously you're a very skillful battler, is that what is your tactic? Let's start with Go Battle League, just because we're in mid-season. So what would be like your #1 tactic? Do you stick with the same team, or you change up your team, or how do you go into it? Yeah.
For Go Battle League, originally I started off switching it up a lot, and then I realized I started like sticking with the same team, just so that I had like I've realized that like when I have a plan, like, okay, if you see this type Pokemon, you switch immediately. If you see this type Pokemon farm a little bit, then so, you know, like once you like have a feel for your team, I feel like that's when you start doing a lot better. I remember I saw Not a Spoofer's stream, and he was using for Great League, what was it? It was Umbreon lead with Deoxys and Azu in the back, and I loved that team, so I decided to run it, and I ended up like learning that team's ins and outs, because I ran it for like the rest of the Great League part of the season. And I mean, you know, you still lose, obviously, like everyone loses in GBL, but it helped when like, and then when you start like knowing the teams people are running, because, you know, like people have their videos that they do where they say, oh, this line, you know, so like, you know, like the Caleb Pang lines and stuff like that, you start having like plans for them, and it makes it a lot easier, I think, once you like really learn the matchups. Like it makes you a stronger battler, obviously. So that's what I ended up doing. For Ultra League, I kind of didn't really have a choice, because like I said, I'm not the most hardcore grinder. So like I had to make like 3 Pokemon and kind of stick with it. Luckily, I ended up loving the team that I had for Ultra League. So I'm gonna stick with that for next season probably too, just because I've enjoyed using it so much. And Masters League, Masters and Premier League, I still don't have a team, so I'm working on it though. It's definitely in the works. It's just like the rare candy is so extra. I need so many hundreds of candies. It's like, settle down. I'll get there, but not today.
Yeah, I agree with you that it's crazy. I'm not doing well either in Premier and the Masters. I'm like kind of like keeping it low.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Masters is not going to be my forte for a minute. I don't know any of the matchups, but I'll learn them. And then I'll destroy.
Oh yeah, I recorded a video, and in the video I was like, I don't know what the Pokemon. I literally said 3 times that I don't know what that is. So I had no idea what am I supposed to hit or do or change. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like you're the best battler in the world.
Yeah. So now with Silph. So what would be like, you think, your #1 tactic that would make you different, or like for example, I met so many players who go into Silph into each basically month, that they pick like a golden 3, and then they stick with that 3, and then sometimes they don't even change it. And I found it interesting that they just stick with that 3, and then maybe if the opponent reads them that they're gonna stick with it, then they're gonna change it. But most of the time they just stick with it. And then there are people who like intentionally pick a 3 that they think they would use, and they use something entirely different. So do you have something like that?
For Silph, Silph is like, I think going with a specific 3 for any sort of cup in Silph is a risky move, because people's teams are so, you know, there's such a variety of teams that you could be fighting. I know that especially in our local community, we have people that love to use the spice. So doing that would not go well for our tournaments if we were doing the in-person ones, especially. I think that's a little more risky, because you got to be able to, like, I'm not good. This is one of my weaknesses, is reading teams, but you got to, like, that's part of the whole Silph thing, is you got to read a team, and you got to like see, okay, these 3 are going to be my strongest against this team, and you can switch them up, or maybe like try and catch them off guard if you feel like they're going to keep catching your lead or something like that. But Silph, I feel like you have to kind of, for me anyway, I have to be more prepared to be able to switch it up. So I don't know. I definitely like to switch it up way more in Silph than in GBL. GBL is different because you have to have like such a general, broad view of what you could be seeing. With Silph, you're literally just planning for 6 Pokemon, and kind of you can narrow it out, be like, okay, well, this Pokemon only counters 1 Pokemon on my team, so I'm not going to see that. You know, it's so you can narrow it down to like sometimes 3 or 4 Pokemon that you probably would see, and you know which ones they're not going to bring usually.
Yeah, exactly. I have hard time with that, so totally got you. I'm good with the first one. Like, I usually win the first match, and then after that, to change it up is where my weakness is.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of just do. I get a little confident if I win the first 2, I usually don't win the third, because I mean it's happened before, but I get so like confident. I'm like, I can run whatever I want now. And I'm like playing like a madman. I don't know what I'm even doing. So poor people that have to fight me, honestly. They're probably really confused.
Okay, so for Stardust, because we talked about rare candy, so rare candy is hard to get by unless you're doing raids all the time. So for Stardust, do you have like a secret that you go out there and grind, or different days, or anything that you do to able to maintain?
Honestly, my main source of getting Stardust, it's like really like where I get like honestly probably like 90% of my Stardust is I just go on my run every day and I just hatch eggs. So like I try to hatch like a set of eggs at least each day, and I really try to like time it with the star piece, but I'm so bad at that. But I try to time it with a star piece and hatch them all on a star piece, and that's where I get most of my dust. I didn't even have like a gotcha or anything until I think it was like 2 weeks ago. So I'm like, but I got that because I've been missing out on a lot of the like spotlight hour events and stuff, and I'm always at work, and my work is such a good place to play. There's 3 stops right at my work, so there's like always like a big cluster of spawns, and everyone's like, why don't you play at work? I'm like, because I'm busy working. So my wife got me a gotcha, bless her heart, and now I'm like figuring out how to use it sometimes.
Yeah, gotcha. Oh my god, when I got introduced to it, it changed everything, because
Game changer.
it's
Big time.
daily. Just you turn it on. If you remember just returning it on, like not every hour, but like a few hours a day,
Yeah.
then you can end up having 50,000 Stardust, literally doing nothing.
Right.
It's crazy, yeah.
No, it's a big game changer, especially for someone like me that like really just doesn't play very much. Like it's like, oh, where did all this, I got like 10,000 extra Stardust today. Like, all right, let's go. It's like a whole power up on a Pokemon sometimes.
So yeah, and I love that, because you don't have to do anything, and then just like you said, the community day, it makes a huge difference. And what I wanted to ask you is too that, so what would be like your, let's say, #1 learning, I would say, I guess, center, if you would want to call it, so meaning where do you learn the most from, or from who?
I have a lot of people that help me. I have like a whole support team, which is like probably why I love this community so much. My coach, Jangles, he's like, obviously, he helped me so much in this last season. I can't even tell you. Like, my weakness is team building, and I ask him the most scrub questions about teams, and I don't know, he's just one that really, really helps me build my team and like helps me like learn matchups. And we, in the middle of the season especially, we would like do a whole bunch of fights, and he would just bring whatever he knew in the meta to like counter my team and teach me the ins and outs of that 6 that I had. And then I would also say Kaiser helped me a lot this season, a lot. He helped me like prepare for so many of these tournaments. He was another person that did a whole bunch of stress testing with my teams. And he's helped me, like, I'm so bad at reading teams. So like when I'm done with the tournament, I can be like, look at these teams and tell me what I should have brought. And he's like, why did you bring this Pokemon? I'm like, because I don't know anything. Don't judge me. But then then I get more prepared for my next tournament. And I don't know, he helped me a lot too. He helped me a lot. He gave me, in Toxic Cup, I had a team that was so weak to Wormadam. Like, I think I probably didn't listen to @coach that month, Jingles, because my team was so weak to Wormadam. But Kaiser taught me, I mean, I feel like it's a pretty obvious strat, but like he taught me this strat, and I used it a lot in my tournament with the girls, and I went 6-1 in it, and that was like one of my biggest accomplishments of the whole season. So I was really excited about that. But I would like to like lead Steelix, hoping to catch the Wormadam lead. And if I didn't catch it, I would switch in like a Quillfish or a Golbat and bait it out. And then I would just let that die. And then I would just farm with my Steelix. And that got me through a lot of fights in my tournament. I was like, so he taught me like certain strategies that I probably should have been able to figure that one out on my own, but like I would have never thought to do that. And he like made it's like so simple and so obvious, and I didn't realize that was an option. And then when he opened my eyes to that, I'm like, wow, thank you. You just made my life so much easier. So he definitely helped me. Twastel and Cody have been really super, super helpful. Obviously my wife, she's like always there to fight me and always there to, what she really provides me is like just someone that will always say I love you at the end of the fight. So even if I win or lose, so it like kind of stings less, She's a big supporter, so that's always nice to have.
Yeah, that's good. And then I see that also on Twitter. You guys go back and forth all the time, pick on each other.
Oh,
In
doesn't sound
almost
like
everybody
us.
you mentioned.
Could have been anyone. Maybe it wasn't.
Yeah.
It probably was.
And as far as for somebody who starts out, let's say in PvP, let's say it's you just starting out today, what would be like your number one like advice to those people who start? Because you know they might even think, oh, people are cheating, they have turret shields and all that kind of stuff.
Right. I think one of the most underrated things that you can have to prepare yourself for fights is patience. Like, if you can just like remember it's a freaking game, it's really not that serious. Like, I get we put a lot of time and effort into this, so I do understand where the frustrations come from, but you got to have some patience, and like, especially when it's, you know, I don't know, I just think that life goes on past these fights, and it's easier said than done for a lot of people, including myself. Sometimes I get hung up on a fight too, but just patience is super important. And then I think on top of that, like practicing and like really like trying to learn typings. I'm still terrible with typings. In fact, I get roasted for it once in a while, which I deserve completely. But when I first started PvP, I literally made flashcards. I literally wrote down the type on the front of the flashcard, and on the back it said the resistances and the weaknesses, and I had people test me on it, and I was terrible when I got tested, but I figured them out. And I mean, so once in a while I'll learn something new. I'll be like, wait, what? That resists what? But I think that's like something that'll get you really far if you can learn the typings. And the more you fight, the more you'll learn, like, okay, this Pokemon gets these moves, even though it's this type. It might, you know, like Golduck is a water type, and it gets Confusion, it gets Cross Chop, it gets Ice Beam, it gets like moves that are not water type. So like if you can learn what to expect, it obviously, you know, it would help you be prepared for it more. So practice makes perfect.
That makes perfect sense, and that's I did the same thing and doing the same thing after, you know, the Mewtwo issues that I had with the Focus Blast. I've been writing it out as well on my notebook in the matches, and I'm like, so I know what not to do and what to do. But luckily nobody roasted me for that yet, besides Ryan Swag. But that's about it.
They shouldn't.
Yeah.
You don't deserve that.
So for as far as for what's going on for you in the future, do you have any plans?
As far as PvP goes?
Yeah, basically.
I mean, I'm just gonna keep at it. Like, I recently started streaming my GBLs, and so that's been super fun for me to do. I'll probably continue doing that. It's been super enjoyable so far. And I think I'll probably keep in with Silph and you know, keep doing the tournaments with them. I would love for it to get back to the point where I mean, you know, I understand why we can't right now, but like I would love for the in-person tournaments to start happening eventually again when the world's not crumbling apart. And yeah, I just like I really want to. I think if I get focused, I can do better next season. And I mean, I didn't do terribly this season either, but I definitely want, like, you know, each season there's just room for improvement. And I know I'm better than I was last season, and my goal for next season would be to be better than I was this season. So I'm gonna keep going at it and see what I can do.
I'm glad to hear that. And I also wanted to ask you, so what's your schedule right now for streaming, and where can people find you?
Well, so usually it's Sunday nights. I start streaming usually pretty late, probably like 10:30 or 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, on Twitch. And my Twitch handle is the same as my Twitter handle or my IGN. It's OhOkhaha, but with zeros instead of O's. Usually, yeah, Sunday nights. And then, I mean, I just got this laptop this last, like a week ago. So I'm hoping that once I figure out like the tech part of it, I might start streaming a little bit more too. So we'll see. I gotta get good at technology, to be honest, first. But once I tighten up, you'll probably see a little bit more of me. Sorry to say.
No, that's all good. I can't wait. And I just want to ask you, so because you said you're not as techy as soon as we started, so when you first rolled up to your first tournament, did you like come up to the people and be like, so how do you do this? How do you send send the invites and then
No,
you can keep them?
no, my first you know what's crazy about the first tournament I ever went to? We met at our local mall and we did the tournament in the food court. It was like a really small one, like I think it was like 4 rounds. And I don't know what happened with Silph that day, but like it like crashed, and so that tournament literally doesn't exist. Like it didn't get recorded. I don't know how that happened, but it's never happened since then, as far as I know. But yeah, like it completely just like erased, which was so good for me because I didn't win a single match that whole tournament, but I didn't care. I mean, I still talked crap to everyone afterwards, and I was like, wait till next tournament, y'all are gonna get crushed. And then so I bombed the first tournament that doesn't exist, and then I think the rest of the season I didn't go negative a single tournament. I don't know what happened. I guess I got a little bit good. So
that's awesome.
Okay.
Who would you want on the podcast, and what question would you ask that person?
Well, everyone knows, like, obviously my wife is like, I can't see enough of her. But if it's not going to be her, I think my next person would probably be Lemon Lime. He's one of my favorite battlers, to be honest. He's the only person that I know that has won a 10-round tournament, and I say that, and he always corrects me. He's like, well, I got to buy one of the rounds and I lost one of the other rounds. I'm like, so you won a 10-round tournament? Because his regionals, like, he won 10 rounds. I don't care how you put it. I'm gonna continue to say it the way I want because I'm in denial. But I think that he's just a fascinating battler to me. The focus, when he gets focused and he like wins, he's indestructible. It's insane. And so I think I've questioned him a little bit about when he won the LA tournament too, the Mega. He went 9-0 in that one, and I was like asking him, like, did you know that did you feel like you could win it when you got to like round like 7 or 8? He's like, yeah, I started kind of feeling like it was possible. And then, you know, the last round happened and he was like starting to like realize this is definitely possible. I don't know. I think he's just a fascinating guy. So I would probably recommend him.
Well, thank you. I will probably reach out to him. And then also what I want to ask you is there anything else you want to say to the audience, to anybody who is listening or watching, or any last thoughts or tips or anything whatsoever?
Bye. Get wrecked and get good.